And in my old Meta ads mindset from 2 years ago, I instantly built 4 audiences that I thought I could test, because that's what I would have done 2 years ago to test something on Meta. And then before I launched them, the next couple of days I went back to them and thought about it again to sort of work on that a bit more, and thought, hang on, I need to come at Meta this year with the success and how to succeed on Meta this year, not 2023, but 2025. Hey, welcome to Aussie Online Growing on Shopify. This is episode 138, and I want to talk about the giant shift that Meta is experiencing in 2025 and why ads matter now more than ever. This episode is a bit about Andromeda and about the Meta algorithm. And I want to talk a bit about the, I suppose, topics that have come up in lots of recent episodes. I want to circle back to a lot of those similar thoughts and kind of share a bit more about that information that I have been talking about in recent episodes. And I want to also suggest for you to go and listen to an episode from another podcast as well to get even more of a deep dive into what is happening across the Meta ecosystem in 2025 and your way to win with Meta in 2025. Hang about for next week. This is a 2-part episode because next week I'm going to actually go into some strategies for daily budget. So if you are spending $15 a day on your ads, or you want to be spending $15 a day, or if you are spending or want to be spending upwards of $150 a day or $300 a day, then there are different strategies and different ways to win with the platform this year. And so next week I want to speak sort of more about that in depth and give you some strategic tips and things I would suggest to try if you are managing your own ad account in next week's episode. So this is sort of part 1 of episode 138 because this is a bit of a background episode. This is a bit about, like I said, the Andromeda update on Meta and how the algorithm is changing this year and has been changing significantly in the last 6 months, like significantly, like chalk and cheese to what it was in 2024. So ads matter now more than ever. So zoom out, like for your own e-commerce store, where are your customers actually coming from? Where are they finding you? How many sessions are you getting to your website a day? If you're on Shopify, what are your sessions per day or per month? Where are they finding you? Where are you relying on the traffic to come to your website? I've done lots of episodes. I didn't go back and have a look. I probably could have, about, like, let's not have magical thinking that you can't just put a website up anymore and expect people to just materialize. That doesn't happen. You also can't expect to have a really non-existent organic content strategy and also expect your ads to perform well. You can't really have a great organic strategy and kind of expect that to pull all the way without any ads as well. Organic and paid traffic really do go hand in hand in supporting each other, the same way that Meta ads and email marketing also go hand in hand in supporting each other. If you are growing an organic business and you are, say, incredibly new and fresh and talented and skilled at, say, TikTok, then yeah, you probably can be building an organic business. You might be doing incredibly well. But for the majority of us who have a website, we're looking for customers, we have incredible products, but we've got to find our customers, then you need Meta ads. You genuinely do. And if it's me that runs them for you, please reach out and book a discovery call with me. We can work one-on-one for just a month. So just to get, your feet wet almost with Meta ads and help you feel confident with the platform and confident in my skills in getting your small business some results. Or take all of the things I talk about in this podcast episode and others and run ads yourself and get some learnings and some data behind what works for your e-commerce store, what works for your niche, what works for your customers. And this year, that comes down to the creative. This year, more than ever, that comes down to the images, the video, the captions, the headlines, the buttons that you are using, the hooks that you are using. More than ever, that's the way to succeed with Meta this year, no matter the budget you're spending. So you can put that blanket across the board. No matter what you're spending this year, your creative needs to be better and the volume needs to be much larger. It's by one of my favorite podcasts called the Unofficial Shopify Podcast. The episode is from May 2025, and it's called Meta's AI Ads Engine Explained. So it hasn't got an episode number, at least on Spotify it doesn't, but it's called Meta AI Ads Engine Explained. And the podcast is the unofficial Shopify podcast. The episode was from May 2025. Please listen to that episode next if you really want to understand why I'm talking about this so often in my recent episodes and leaning into this so much with Meta this year, because the billions of data points that Meta has on users is based now because of Andromeda on a predictive model as well. It's not just data scientists and people who are controlling this algorithm, but AI is like a large language model, like ChatGPT, is making predictions about users and the behavior they're going to take next. And that predictions are built from all the data points it has on a user. But guess what? The data is not even just from ads. If you don't click on an ad, but you visit other websites that have the Meta Pixel installed, which is millions of websites, because any website you visit that has a Meta Pixel, which is many of them, many websites have like the Meta platform integrated into their website, that still tracks you. It picks up your data just from that, even if you haven't been to an ad about that business. Sometimes I think that's how you end up seeing an ad because of a product you maybe researched on Google or thought about and went to look at elsewhere on your browser, to a website when you didn't even follow the ad, and then suddenly an ad appears because that data is all being collated for you as a user. That's just like one tiny example. There's many more. So I encourage you to listen to that episode if you are a little on the fence with understanding how critical this update is for Meta and how you need to lean into that for success this year. Control how much traffic you get and where you get it and what type of customer that comes to your website. Meta ads is really like a tap. You can spend as much as you want to get as many sessions as you want to your website. You can spend as small as you want, but you're also going to get a small amount of people to your website. And that's one thing I guess people, including me, I have an e-commerce store as well that I'm growing. So me as well, it's both frustrating and exciting because there's an avenue there now to get the traffic I need. But at the same time, it's frustrating because you turn the tap off, the traffic dissolves. Like the traffic literally dries up. You turn off your ads, the traffic goes away. So it's something that we need to lean into this year. And I encourage you this year more than ever that the AI changes Meta is making and the platform in general where it's moving will benefit small businesses. It's taking far more data, collating far more data, and predicting far more about user behavior for success for you as a small business. But the work you need to do now is different, and I would argue it's harder. I would argue this year more than last year, the work of a small business is much more in the content creation space, and also keeping your finger really firmly on the pulse of your ads and watching for changes and optimizing and watching the metrics closely to help the algorithm head in the right direction and not burn your money or feel like you're gambling it away, but to get you good quality traffic and good quality potential customers and leads. Because remember then, these people funnel into other parts of our business, which is why you can't just run ads and see success with ads without some holistic strategy behind it. Klaviyo marketing and Klaviyo flows and a pop-up on your website or a browse abandonment flow to capture these people. So if you haven't heard or you don't know, Andromeda is Meta's new AI backend. And to give you some context, apparently it is about as big, like there is about 20 Costco size stores in some desert in America full of servers. That's how large this computer brain is and the data it's collecting. Like imagine 20 Costco's sitting next to each other full of servers. This is the volume that Meta is pouring into getting this advertising platform to work for small business. So one thing you need to do this year more than ever is focus on broad targeting instead of hyper-specific audiences. You need to really prioritize the type of conversion you want. And I talk about this in other episodes when I talk about like my top metrics when I look at optimizing ads in a client's ad account. Is purchase needs to be your first conversion event. Other conversion events I do use and they're very useful. But because you need to train your pixel and the data needs to be exactly where you need it to go, At least 80% of your campaign should be purchase conversion driven. The platform performs best with large creative sets. Lots of data, lots of images, lots of videos, lots of carousels, lots of copy, lots of variations to give it the capacity to filter these things and match them up with different users at different stages of their purchase journey. So it needs all of these different types of creatives to be able to match what suits specific users to drive them towards a purchase decision. Sort of like it's dynamic creative. So it needs to be able to match automatically images, videos, captions, headlines, and buttons. So Meta needs the ability to be able to use all of these things to match together, which is why I encourage you to be creating content on a regular basis. Today's Tuesday. I'm recording a podcast, which I often do on a Tuesday, but Tuesday is also my day for creating content. So I'll be doing some editing of some videos for my e-commerce store. I'll be looking at some of my clients' accounts and getting some of their creative sorted for the next round of ads. You just need to be creating more content so you can test on a faster basis and test more volume to really be able to lean into what's working and turn off what's not. It's much more unreasonable to expect in 2025 that you can have an ad, a purchase conversion ad running for weeks and weeks or months and months and continue to work and perform for you. Unless it's a winning ad, in which case that's an ad that really stands above the crowd. And the only way you find your winning ad is by testing. The only way you're going to discover if you have a winning ad for that maybe you created it a year ago is by testing many others. And when I say many, I mean dozens of others, to be able to see which one is winning and then be able to use that, maybe turn it on and off every now and again, like scale it or put a huge budget behind it when you can afford to and when you want a big push, and then turn it off when it fatigues and dies off, and then save it again to revisit later on, and then do all your variations, which is from I spoke about that in a couple of episodes ago about all the variations you should be doing if you find a winning creative. But all of that takes testing and time. This is why I've started looking for content creators for my own e-commerce store, and I've also started I started a program called the Brand Creators Circle with customers. So customers are reaching out to me I'm giving them free product and they're giving me a video in return and an image in return. This is perfect for me because I can now use these things in my ads to test, because just to get the volume of the creative up this year on what I was doing last year. And I encourage you to do the same. Hey, what's the very next step for you in growing online? If you have an e-commerce store or you're looking for clients, you have a service-based business, you can reach out to me for one-on-one support on a project-by-project basis. I'm like an anti-agency, little mini agency on my own. I don't offer long retainer packages for brand new clients. I want you to feel confident. Well, in 2024, my revenue that came directly from email marketing was 36% of my whole revenue across the year. And my revenue for 2024 was increased 30% on 2023 results. So I'm definitely in a good position to support you. I have been told I'm the baby budget Facebook ads specialist because I can work with a very small daily budget or a large daily budget. It's really dependent on what you're looking for as a business and what your immediate goals are, that I can guide you on what is the best path towards success for your business. You can reach out to me at AussieOnlineGrowingOnShopify.com.au. In fact, you can actually put an appointment straight in my calendar. We can chat about your business for 25 minutes about what struggles you're having, what your immediate goals are, kind of the stage of business you find yourself at. I'm really excited to have the potential to work with you. I encourage you to head to the website where you can book yourself a free discovery call and we can chat about how I can support your business in getting the results that you need to grow online next. And to that end, you really need to be starting off a campaign with at least 5 creatives inside it. So don't launch a campaign with one creative. It really needs to have at least 5, even up to 15 or 20, depending on the budget you're going to spend every day, so that you can watch Meta put these ads out to the algorithm and see which one lands with users, to see what people find the most engaging. You'll see that from the metrics on the ads, and then you can start turning off the ones that are not landing and not performing. and that gets you more longevity on the account, on the campaign as well, because it means you don't have to create, you're not just testing one creative at a time, but you can test like a batch of them, and then you can compare the data between them. Maybe one of them works out to be really great and you want to save it and use it often. It becomes a bit of a hero piece for your brand. Or maybe all of them flop and then you just need to recycle that and bring through a whole nother 5 creatives and go again. You'll notice if you build ads as well for yourself that the platform pushes you to automation first setups. And I have said this before as well. It's maddening even how often I turn off some enhancements in ads and then I go back in to edit it or check it before I publish it and they've turned back on again. So Meta will push you at every step to lean into their AI preferences and their platform, the things they want. They give you obviously the opportunity score you'll have, which gives you the opportunity to increase your opportunity score, which means that Meta loves you more and the algorithm loves you more based on different suggestions it gives you. And those suggestions are worth looking at, but they're not always worth implementing by any means. One of my clients was asking me about the opportunity score that popped up from one of his ads last month. And I said, it's not even worth looking at. That opportunity score is giving you the option there to increase your opportunity score by 10 by making it an Australia-wide campaign. But he's a local business. He only wants to advertise to the suburbs around him. I said, don't worry about looking at that opportunity score suggestion. It's not going to suit you. You don't want to be advertising to me in Adelaide. You want to be advertising to the suburbs around you. So look at the opportunity score and see what it suggests to you. Some of those things might be worth implementing, particularly when if it gives you, feedback on audience crossover, so efficiency in your spend, you might be able to improve. But often as well, have a bit of a critical thinking hat on. Remember, you're paying Meta. You need the results from Meta. This is not a money pit. You're just supporting Meta and the big business it is. You need to run a profitable business too. Often those things won't be worth implementing, but it's always worth checking them anyway. Fewer campaigns is better. I would, like I said, I would have more creatives in the one campaign rather than just one creative per single campaign anymore. More creatives inside one campaign and just keep the campaigns more locked to broad in the sense of like more bucketed to broad, not locked. That sounds like narrow. No, more bucketed into broad. So you're not splitting things down too finely. I've split down my own e-commerce store. I set up some ads and I was thinking about the different interests I could target. So I was going to do some interest targeting. And in my old Meta ads mindset from 2 years ago, I instantly built 4 audiences that I thought I could test because that's what I would have done 2 years ago to test something on Meta. And then before I launched them, the next couple of days, I went back to them and thought about it again to sort of work on that a bit more and thought, hang on, I need to come at Meta this year with the success and how to succeed on Meta this year, not 2023, but 2025. So I got rid of 2 of them and I just have 2 interest audiences now instead of the 4 I started with because the overlap is there. Not obviously, but if you think about your niche, you really need to just be targeting like very obvious targeting options inside the suggestions for detailed targeting. But then the next sort of thing, if you want to test it, would not be something similar. It needs to be really different because Meta will find these people. It knows far more about the users than you do. There's going to be a huge overlap as it is if you have interests that are too similar in different campaigns. So I started testing between 2 interest types or interest buckets or groups rather than the 4 I had originally built because I was sort of just by like routine came at the platform with what I would have done 2 years ago, and I sort of built out 4 that made sense. But when I actually really thought about it, I thought, no, this is not helpful for Meta at all this year. Meta needs the broad boundaries, not the really specific boundaries, because it will need to work with a much broader set of guidelines rather than a narrow set. And if I'd use those 4 narrow audiences, there was a massive overlap in all 4 of them. So I went with 2 that were markedly different instead of the 4 I had started with. So think broad campaigns with lots of creations and creative variations inside, and use some of the AI enhancements when it makes sense. Meta loves you too. It will make your campaign perform better for sure, as long as they look good. As long as they look good, go ahead and use those AI enhancements when they suit your brand and you're happy with how the creative appears. Then you don't be surprised if you see that campaign perform better because you're leaning into what Meta has established. So, action steps for you from this episode. Embrace broad targeting. We have to work with what's been given to us and we have to work with where the platform's moving to succeed. Like, what is your option otherwise? Like, genuinely, I don't mean that like in a smart way, but what is your option otherwise? For me, when I think about my small business, what's my option otherwise? I have found most of my customers brand new for the very first time on Facebook and Instagram and all the other places my ads appear. That's where they find me and discover who I am and come and browse my website and shop for the first time. Maybe they come and shop for the first time from an email I send them or a coupon code, but they found me on Meta. Maybe they come and find me and shop because they Googled my brand, but they saw me on Meta. And I wouldn't be surprised if the same is true for you, because that is the same for most of us in e-commerce when we are looking to grow a Shopify online store in Australia. Like, that is how we succeed. That is how we get traction. That is how we find customers and get people to our website. So feed the machine. Feed the machine. Set aside time every week and deliberately set aside your creative energy or some money to content creators, or get some customers to create content for you or something. You just need to get off the ground. Like I said in my previous episodes, don't listen to another episode on how to create content. Just go ahead and spend an afternoon, actually do it, and start some ads to get the actual data flowing. You cannot make any decisions without the data attached to your creative, experiments, your images and your videos. You need that data to be able to actually make decisions about whether it's any good or whether it's not good, and to help direct you where to go next. So join me next week. I'm going to go through a little bit more about what's changing with Meta in this episode. So next week, episode 139. But I'm going to really give you some more specifics on what to do depending on the budget you have or the budget you want to have, and how to succeed with Meta this year. That's what I'm going to share with you next week. But thanks for joining me this week. I hope this has been helpful and just encouraging for you that we're all in the same boat. Right? All of us advertising on Meta are in the same boat. We are all trying to work with the algorithm and the AI changes that it is making, and how it's changing everything about advertising in 2025. So you're not alone. If you find it scary or frustrating, or if you feel a little bit out of your depth or overwhelmed, please reach out to me, book yourself a discovery call, and we can chat about how I can best support you in getting you some results and some campaigns up and running with some data and some benchmarks, be able to compare what's good, what's not good, and get you some results so you can understand what's a good cost per purchase for you and your business so that you can be profitable this year. Thanks for hanging out with me. As always, we are CEOs of our business. We are the captains of our ship and the drivers of our steam trains. I like to think about my business as a little steam train up hills and through tunnels and through valleys. Yeah, I don't know, it makes me smile when I think about that, the hard work involved and navigating the landscape and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, stop babbling on. I'm running out of time this episode. Thanks for hanging out with me this week. As always, keep learning.